dwellers are ever alone. Any planet. How much change is that? No surface dwellers. I'm gonna say even monkeys. Even 98% monkeys are ever alone on any planet's surface. I have a theory today. All right, take that off. I'll let Facebook come in. In the meantime, oh, what's my memory today? Just kidding. I gotta show you this one. This one popped up, and you know I don't ever control these. You don't control Facebook memories. I gotta show y'all my memory. Hold on. I don't want to mess it up. I want you to see it. Are you kidding me? Everything is connected, baby. Everything is connected. All things happen for every reason. Every reason. There's a reason for everything. There's no coincidences anywhere on this planet. I can't even show it yet. It's just, this populates me that's my memory today. I love Facebook memories. They bring back delicious stuff. Everything always works out. Everything works out. I'm gonna show you my memory, but first I gotta invite people. I posted. I didn't know that. I share the video first. So we gonna talk about Hollow Earth, baby. I have a theory. I don't think we're right on it. I don't think. Well, I don't even know. I know we're not. I just know that we never know. Like, then we know. We lie about knowing. We like to convince other people we know. I think everything's a theory. Everything's a theory. Always put your theories forward. Yes, we're going to go there. We're going to go into Admiral Byrd today. Ancient cultures who always said, darkness is below. Creatures live under us. The ant people, whether it's the Hopi, the Egyptians, the Vikings, all these cultures across the planet that said, you're not alone, dummy. And then we proceed to believe our government that said we're alone. I don't get it. All right, I gotta put a warning out there today. Anybody who believes government, you don't want to watch this show. You don't want to watch it. If you believe the kings and the castles and the kings tell you the truth, this is not the show for you. You can go, I don't know, go watch the news or something. Today, we're going into theories of inner Earth theories. Because the ancients always said it. You know me, I trust the ancients over every leader in every country all over this planet at all times. Outside of the fact that you got whistleblowers like Admiral Byrd telling us the ancients weren't lying, there's something there. All right, I got a theory. This is why I look at everything. Gotta look at everything to know any damn thing. I like to look at astrophysics. What is it called? Astrophysics. I like to look at astrobiology. I like to look at ancient archaeology. I like to look at the real world today, the real world, the politicians, the monkeys fighting over petroleum and essential oil, murdering each other. And then look at war. And you piece it all together. Look at religion and scripture and study to show thyself approved. Does that sound familiar? You're supposed to study and use a scientific method. Try to figure things out. And then realize you ain't never gonna figure it out. You're just a dumb monkey, 98% monkey. You'll never figure it out. It's not figure outable. We're not gonna figure it out. We're just not gonna figure it out. But we gotta keep posing theories, independent theories. This is why I am an alt news person. I don't care about your mainstream news. I want alt news. I want news that nobody's talking about. If you got news nobody's talking about, you have theories that aren't in the mainstream, you're actually getting somewhere. And this is the evil about a mainstream. The great evil about a mainstream is that if you're in the mainstream, you believe the kings and lords, period. Whatever world they want to create for you, and you'll get locked into it. Worst thing you can do is ever believe your rulers, the psychopaths that feel they have power over people. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about Admiral Byrd. Ancient archaeology. Is the earth hollow? Man, earth hollow is a mofo. All right, I can't cuss, but Well, I know Chris says it all. I was watching Chris last night while I get set up here. He was like, I can't cuss. I ain't gonna cuss, but you know, he like mofo, flip flop, but he said, but I ain't gonna cuss though. I ain't gonna cuss. I'm like, Chris, your grandmama said you're not supposed to be cussing on the internet. Chris damn near 30. What is he? Cussing on the internet. His grandmama told him to stop cussing on the internet. All right. I think I'm almost set up. How's everybody doing this morning? Y'all good? People say, you always hitting all kind of weird topics. Why can't you just stay grounded? Maybe I don't like the ground. Maybe your ground sucks. Maybe y'all raped too many women on that ground over the last 100 million years. Maybe I don't want to be anywhere near your ground. I want to be grounded in your world. Why don't you just pick a 2020 candidate and be grounded? I don't like your ground. Your ground is murderously bloody and violent. The real world is never told by the kings and lords who rule everything. So I'm going to get into hollow earth theory. Because I don't think it's a theory. I don't think it's a theory. I think that your government gives you theories. I think they give you a matrix and a fantasy world to believe in because they're always trying to control things. I don't think your ancestors, your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy, all the ancestors who said that the earth doesn't stop at the core. This is what I think. This is what I think. We're going to get into Ganymede. We'll start with Ganymede and Europa. We're going to walk through it because I have a theory. I'm working on something. That's why I sit here and I watch NASA videos. I watch a NASA press release quick as anything else. Well, I watch that quick. Y'all go out on dates and y'all go on to Disney World and vacations and stuff like that. I'll watch a NASA broadcast. I sit there and listen to the physicists talk, then the biologists talk, and they give all their theories and everything. Because I want to know the real world. I want to know what's real. I don't want to know the bull that's on television, the boo-tube. I want to know what's real. And I think our ancients always tried to tell us because I think they cared about us the same way your grandparents told you to plant a seed. Same way your grandmama said learn how to can vegetables. Bad times always come. I think the ancestors always pass down information they find it to be important for the development of the family and the human race, for the further advancement, for progression. No, ain't a damn thing progressive about progressives. They hate progress, man. They hate not like they're real progressive. There are real progressives, but they don't call themselves real progressive. The real progressives, they don't listen to a damn thing the kings and the lords say. Because the kings and the lords have no interest in your progress. Their interest is power. It's a different P. Start with P, but believe a different thing from that P. Anyway, how's everybody doing this morning? Y'all good? Admiral Byrd, Admiral Byrd's diary. You're not familiar with Brother Byrd. Brother Byrd left his diary before he died. Because you know when you work in these classified, black budget, top secret projects, you're not allowed to talk about things. Kings don't want you talking about the things that empower the monkeys. They want you talking about what they feel. Their subjects, their citizens, their peasants and serfs, 98% monkeys, the humans that they are farming. Things that just help them to work with more productivity for the castle, for the kingdom. All right, let's get into it. So Admiral Byrd, before he died, because I like deathbed confessions. Deathbed confessions are the most important thing. Diaries before you die, because people can't say what's true. Kings got dragoons, the kings and the queens and the lords. They always have security forces to make sure the monkeys keep working. So I like deathbed confessions. I like it when these people who work on these black budget projects die, and before they die, they're choking on some cancer or something. About to die. They look over at their son, look to their daughter. Aliens are real. We aren't alone. I couldn't tell you because it was, and then they die. And those deathbed confessions are all over the internet. You can go find them. To me, I think about it like this. If you're about to die and you got the last week, last month of your life last few seconds before that leukemia does what it needs to do, are you going to spend that moment lying? I mean, just think about it. Like, process that. You're about to die. Your kids all around the bed. You got your last week in life. Like the last month, like, why do we even have something called a bucket list? Because these are the things we want to experience before we die. A very profound moment at the end of our lives, when our mortality creeps up upon us. We focus on what's most significant. Like, think about as you get older. You may not understand this. Older people tend to understand it. The older you get, the more you focus on what's important. And the less you give a damn about the stuff that isn't. It all comes to this climax before you die. And you make sure you do the important things. You make sure you take care of the important people. You make sure you say what is true. Because you know you lived in a kingdom your whole life, and the king won't let you say so much. So before Admiral Byrd died, he wrote in his diary, oh, they're knocking people off the live? Yeah. That might be a good sign. That's a good sign that we're on to something. Again, the things that you're not supposed to talk about, you'll know. You'll know. So before Admiral Byrd died, he wrote his diary. Came back from Antarctic, wrote a long diary about all the things he saw, all the things he experienced. Just like any kind of scout that scouts for the camp, goes to North America and lies. Comes home and lies. Did y'all know this? So if you ever watched, what is the name? Curse of Oak Island. So they're digging down deep, and the deeper they go, the more they find. They're just finding all kind of rings and hooks, and the Vikings been there, the Templars been there. Now they realize the Romans have been there. They're finding Roman weapons on Oak Island, which is in is that Canada? Right. No, I think it's Canada. What's the name of that? Where is Oak Island? Somebody posted. I watched the show every now and then. The deeper they go, they're finding more things. That the Romans came here, but why didn't the Romans talk about North America? The Templars came here. Why didn't the Templars talk about it? The Vikings came here, and then the Vikings disappeared. Because you can't go back and explain what you saw. The king, when you come back, your king, your Caesar is going to say you can talk about this, you can talk about this, and you can talk about this, but you can't talk about that. Why? Because there's gold. Yes, Nova Scotia. Who's that? Heaven. Thank you. Because you can't talk about the gold. You can't talk about the slaves we can get from that new land. You can't talk about the silver. You can't talk about those things. Why? Because we got to make these big wooden ships with sails. It's going to take 4 months to get back over there and kill everybody and steal it. So when the scouts always come back, they're not allowed to talk about what they saw. And so those things get buried in history. But before you die, you write your little treasure map. And that's what in Oak Island they've been using. So that's an example of Admiral Byrd and the whole point of scouts going to go to find something and come back and keep it secret. Not just from their citizens, but they don't want the Spanish, they don't want the French, they don't want the Germans or someone else to go over there and get that gold before they can. So they tell you, oh, we got to keep this secret from the citizens, but it's going to protect them in the long run, because that means that the French won't find out about it, so we can go back and get it. The same reason that I keep saying we can't have classified anymore. We can't have top secret anymore. It should be obvious when there are 12 levels of secrecy above every American president that your presidents actually don't run anything other than the color their Jell-O on Wednesday. They can be yellow or green. That's it. What you want. Yellow or green. That's all I got, Trump. Say, Obama, what you want. Because that's the real world to me. The real world is always buried in secrecy because the real world always was secret. Anytime you have a pyramid to the top, a Ponzi scheme, and very powerful people at the top, they stay at the top by keeping secrets. So before Admiral Byrd died, he wrote his diary, and his son released it. And the diary spoke of his adventures into the earth. Now, do I think he went in the earth? I don't know. I think so. And here's my theory. Here's what I'm going to show you. Let's go to space real quick. Yeah, well, what the hell am I doing? I'm not even ready. I don't have my YouTubes. Let's play, Brenda. Yes, girl. I like to play. I don't like to play with your king, with your politicians. tell me I should play. I like to play in the real world. I don't like to play with walls, and I don't like to play with trade agreements, and I don't want to play with nuclear weapons, and I don't want to play with races fighting each other and poor people arguing over stupid stuff. I want to play in the real world. The real world all your ancestors died to tell you about, that they wrote and etched in stone, etched in clay tablets. And some of them we turned into religions. That's okay. All right, this is what I think. So what I get from NASA and space theory in terms of how these planetary bodies work. Here we go. This is what I think. The vast majority of planets we already know are ice planets. They're ice planets. Water is everywhere, everywhere. The whole universe is full of water. It's the most prolific thing that we can have. Whether in ice, gas, solid form, liquid, water is everywhere. So every planet has water. How does that fit in? Think about it like this. We know that Earth is not even from the Milky Way galaxy. We know Earth is actually from the Sagittarian galaxy. It crashed through the Milky Way. What was it doing out in space all that time for millions and hundreds of millions, if not billions of years? Ice falling upon it, hydrogen, water, collecting ice, being an ice planet. Ice ages, layer upon layer of ice. Now, of course, in between that, you have other matter. You have minerals and asteroids crash and whatever, and it creates this really thick layer of ice. And then it warms. The Earth comes into the Sagittarian galaxy, clashes into the Milky Way galaxy. What happens to that ice as the Earth warms? Enters another area of a universe, gets closer to a sun. The sun expands, right? The whole universe is an ecosystem, right? It has weather. There is solar weather, solar winds. Everything's constantly moving. So you have all types of metabolism in space. All that ice melts. But the matter is separate from the hydrogen, right? Because they all lock together in a more solid form, right? Matter melts away. It flows away. And then the Earth is warm for a while. And all the matter is still falling and creates a crust. And then we go to the next galaxy for 100 million years of ice packing in, creating another layer. And then it warms. And then you have another cavernous area. And then matter falls and it creates another crust. So this is what I'm thinking. I don't think that the Earth is solid. I don't believe none of that. I don't believe none of that. I think this has happened for billions of years. Ice, water, crust, space, the water melts, the water heats up, bubbles to the surface, becomes the oceans on the surface. Because what they say now with the water in the Earth is 3 times the volume of all the oceans. Creates a cavernous space, happens again, another crust, another ice, more ocean, another crust, more ice. See, this is what I think. I think there's layer upon layer upon layer of all these caverns in the Earth. And the other theory I have is that if you are going to be a biological creature, your domain is in a biologically sensitive area. I don't believe in necessarily the whole Star Trek thing. I don't know that we're flying around out there. We are flying around, but I don't know that it's in ships that we make. We're flying around on this ship. We're on the outside of this ship. We're like bacteria, monkeys, and we're the outer earthers. We are the surface dwellers. We lucky, because I mean, think about it. Biologically, we don't belong in space. We don't belong on the surface of the spaceship because eventually we're gonna die. Eventually, the sun is gonna supernova, plasma explosion, black holes. We're gonna die. Anything that lives on the outside of the ship will die. So a species that's going to be millions of years old, wants to be, where does it go? Hey, sure, I can fly around in space if it want to, but the vast majority are going to go to the path of least resistance, which is where? Down. Which is why all the ancient cultures talked about the ant people. They all talked about Agartha. They talked about, what is it, the Hindus, they talk about what's in the earth. The Christians talked about hell. The Greeks talked about the multi-levels within. So I think from a scientific astrophysicist perspective, which I am not, I only play one on the internet. I only play one when I'm looking to see what actually makes some sense. And it does make some sense. Because if you look at Europa, you look at Ganymede, you look at all of these different places, they have layers of oceans. Well, they know there's an ocean underneath the crust of ice. And so, but this plays out over billions of years. So absolutely, is the Earth hollow? It's not even a question. Not even a question. The Earth is cavernous. Doesn't mean there's an open space. I don't know. Let me, like the Admiral Byrd picture. Well, I'm gonna say this is the Admiral Byrd picture, but I don't know that it looks like this. This is hard for me to process. I can't imagine that being hollow. I can't imagine that that's real. That doesn't make any sense to me. It could be, but I can't imagine that. I can imagine multiple layers of oceans that are ice and melt, and it bubbles to the surface, creates a cavity, and any creature that wants to survive the next calamity, the next comet strike, they have to go beneath. I think something's there. I think something there. Earth monkeys. Yes, Brother Paul, except we're not Earth monkeys, man. I think we're surface Earth monkeys. That's what I think. I think that, because after a while, you kind of put together this picture. Happy birthday, Brenda. I didn't know it was your birthday. I trust the Native Americans. I trust the ancient Egyptians. I trust all of what they all said because I don't think they had a reason to lie about it. And then Admiral Byrd and other whistleblowers come forward and say, yeah, well, they don't say they're right. They give their portion of what they saw. So Admiral Byrd, on his last flight, I believe it was, 3 hours was missing. And it was a logged flight. He came back and said, oh, I had engine trouble. 3 hours, you know. I was lost out over Antarctica, or the Arctic, and he lost an engine. And during that 3 hours, he said that, I don't know if I should say it might scare some people. Oh, you know what? I posted a documentary on my page. You can watch it. I'll post it here so you can like piece together this. But for those 3 hours, he said he went inside of a massive cavern. Say hollow earth, people get scared. But he went inside of a massive cavern. And he met with a group of human beings that looked a little odd. And they explained to him the details of how this works. And that we're not alone. We've never been alone. We're just the newest creature to this Earth ecosystem. And we're just in the most dangerous area of the ecosystem on the crust. So I don't know that they care so much about us crusters. As long as we're not destroying things, I think they're okay with us, to a degree. They explained to him that the atomic bomb blowing up was a problem. They didn't like that much. They explained that they'd love to work with us, but they don't because we're violent monkeys on the crust of the earth. So I don't know if aliens come here from another planet. I don't know. I kind of think the ancients, I think maybe that does happen, but I think probably the vast majority of which aliens, the word doesn't exist to me. There's just always a new domain we're discovering, a new continent, a new place where we just discover people who don't look like us and we call them aliens. I don't think that Aborigines are aliens. I don't think that Europeans are aliens. I don't think Africans are aliens. I think we all look alike because we evolved in a different place. And if you've been here for millions of years and you were living under the crust, you would look different. You absolutely would look different. But I try to work through in my head, so how does it make sense? How do you live under the planet though? Because we're surface dwellers. How the hell does that make any sense? You need grow lights. I'm a plant guy, so I always think about grow lights, and you know, I grow indoors. You need grow lights, so you got to mine for those things. I'm thinking, well, where do you go to get all the minerals? Where do you go to get the sand? How do you make a grow light? We dig for it. We dig for the minerals to put together the whole fixture and the baffles and the actual light. So is there enough material under the planet to actually make grow lights? Because they say there's a sun. They say there's a light source. I think the way Admiral Byrd put it, he said there's a light source. He didn't say there was a sun. I think in Agartha they call it a sun. And that's what I would probably do. If I lived 5,000 years ago and some creatures took me under the planet, ant people or whoever it is, reptilians, whatever y'all want to call them, and I saw a bright light that I couldn't look at, I would call it a sun. Now, meanwhile, it could be some plasma, could be some high technology, could be a massive grow light, could be grow lights, which means you'd have food, you'd have light, you'd have the D3 that we get from the sun if you know what you're doing. So could a race of people exist under the planet? Of course they could. Absolutely they could. What was the deepest we've dug? We dug 8 miles. Who's the Russians? The Russians that y'all supposed to hate. Supposed to hate the Russians now. The Russians coming to get you in the fantasy world. They dug 8 miles, I believe was their deepest mine. And the deeper they went, they found fossils. They found biological life. They found bacteria 8 miles under the surface. So we know life can exist everywhere. Life exists in plasma. No, not plasma. Life can exist in a nuclear power plant. Life can exist in lava. Life exists in silicone environments. Life exists in arsenic environments. Life is everywhere. Of course we could live down there. So yeah, and that's what I'm kind of saying, Brenda's massive caves. I don't think it's this. I think that's what the people who went in saw, right? That's what Byrd saw, and that's what the ancients, the Native Americans and the Africans, and that's what they saw. The Dogon tribe somebody mentioned. These are the things that they saw, right? It's like how the Dogons wear those masks and they try to mimic the gods. I don't think it's that. I think they're just massive caverns, right? Where there used to be ice, there used to be water that melted, and eventually just the geological activity of the planet, the core heating up, whatever's happening, it bubbles to the surface the way the Bible talks about the great flood, how the water came out of the crust, the water came out of it rained, but it also came out of the crust. And it makes sense. And where all that water leaves, then it creates this empty cavern, a massive, massive cavern of space. And so you could have billions of different massive caverns where something that was trying to escape the planetary surface, the dangerous place where biological life can't stay, went under the caves. That's what I think. Earth expanded out. We are inner Earth. Exactly. Well, you know what? So as it expands out, which makes sense in the way you're saying it, Carrie, is that so as we leave, because we're actually leaving the Milky Way galaxy now, right? We're about to merge with an even more massive universe. And so as that happens, as the sun cools or the sun heats up, then yeah, it's creating more layers of ice, and then it'll melt and it creates another layer of matter, and then that ice melts. Right? And so I think that it makes perfectly good sense. Now, if I were in control of things, if I were the elites, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, yeah, I wouldn't let you know about that. No, why would I do that? You're one thing, we're on the surface and eventually you're gonna die, and I don't wanna die. These creatures, whatever lives under the earth or in these massive caverns, if they have technology and they're flying around in Vimanas, the Sanskrit text talking about those, which by the way, there's something like 38 million scriptures still in the Sanskrit text that have not been translated, that haven't even been brought forward into the light. Why is that? Because they talked about all this crazy stuff that we think is mythology. I don't think it's mythology. So we're always lied to about. I'm going to read the last piece of his diary, because at the end is always the important. That's like the end of somebody's life is important. Let me see if I can bring this on the screen. It's like the end of somebody's life is important, because in the end, you always wrap things up. The end of the book is the most important, right? In the end, you want to leave the reader with the last thing, the most important piece, the morsel that you need them to remember, the point. And the point of a human life is, I think, progression. I think it's honesty. I think it's truth. I think it's like every other species on this planet, to hand to the next generation the information they need to progress. Every father, every mother, well, that's not true. Some of y'all are a little special. And most creatures that are sentient pass to the next generation the skills and the information they need to make the next generation stronger. Any species that doesn't do that goes extinct. This is what I want to show you. Here we go. Admiral Byrd's secret diary. Nah, of course it's not going to come by because I wanted to. I have to show it to you. There we go. There you go. You can kind of see that. So he went in there. Oh, dang. Oh, check this out. I haven't shown you this. I just messed up. These are Facebook memories. This is why I tell y'all I love them. I don't believe in coincidence. That was my Facebook memory today. Just get in the car, Alice. I'll explain on the way. And that's half the time. We don't have time to explain to people. I'm not a good explainer. Like, if this sounds crazy to you, it's supposed to. It's supposed to sound crazy to you because you believe your television and you believe the 8 corporations that own the television that take loans for the banks that are owned by all the same 12 families that are actually trying to do the same thing that the kings and the lords always have. Maintain and acquire more power. The same thing you're trying to do when you send your kids to the university with other kids who pay to be there. You just want more power. You just want more money. And if it works on our level that way, works that level with the king. This is why I think it's funny. It's no coincidence to me. So I saw that as my memory. I was like, oh, I got to share that. I didn't share it. Let me share that real quick. It's deep because it sounds crazy. And the only reason this actually is meaningful to me is because I pieced together all of this stuff over a period of time. I'll show you something else. I pieced it and it makes sense to me. Like if y'all have been hanging with me for a year or more, remember we talked about the Voynich manuscript, right? So the Voynich manuscript, that was that manuscript that they found that they couldn't figure out what the hell are these plants? You know, what in the world? They had all kind of cures and funny looking people. And I mean, if you ever want to go down into an interesting rabbit hole, take a look at the Voynich manuscript. All these plants that we cannot find growing on the surface of Earth anywhere. I'm somewhat of a botanist. I went through the whole book. I looked at it and I tried to find some plants that I actually recognized. Some of them look similar. Some of them, yeah, kind of. How come this ain't going down? I don't know what's going on. This is fake news. Why y'all playing with my thing? My desktop, it acts up. Boy, it acts up. Let me close that out. See this out. It'll act up. All right, there you go. So you look through the Voynich manuscript, and I was sitting here thinking, because you know the easy answer for everything is aliens, right? Like everything is aliens. You know, oh, we don't understand the aliens. And my mind is not there. Like, do aliens exist? Of course they do. Dummy, you exist. They're not aliens. Life evolves everywhere. Anywhere there's a vacuum, life figures out a way to make it work. So on every planet, I think there's life, but that's not the point. So the easy answer is aliens, but I think the real story is that every now and then somebody will pop up from the inner earth and they talk to people. Why? Because every ancient culture said it. That's why. What was it in 1944? The Green Kids? Somebody remember the Green Kids? It's not called the Green Kids. I can't remember all of this stuff because it's just so much. Somewhere in Europe, these 2 children, I think it might have been Russia, they had green skin. The boy died. They lived with the people for a little while. The boy died. And the girl lived to, I think, an older age, and then she died. And she said that, well, we came from the inside of the earth, got lost on a field trip, maybe. That's where I think the Voynich manuscripts might have come from. Why? Because if you're growing plants under the earth with some sort of a light source or grow lights or whatever, you've been doing it for millions, if not billions of years. I mean, how old is the earth? We say it's 15 billion years old, but that's the furthest back we know. The earth could be 100 billion years old. And the only place biological life could exist on Earth and stay is under the earth. So what if it's the Garden of Eden isn't necessarily what we think it is? What if it's just those who live underneath in the caverns, and after we die, they come up and they repopulate everything and they fix everything and they let us go do our surface earther thing for a little while and they go back. Here, to me, that actually makes a heck of a lot of sense. And it links up with a lot of these religions and old scriptures and the whistleblower and the ancients. And so I think the Voynich manuscript might have been someone out here and dropped a book. I don't know, now you drop a book. They came up from the inner earth. And this was just a botanist book from inside the caverns of the earth. It makes sense to me. So anyway, I want to go to his diary real quick. Here we go. So he went and he talked to them, and they actually explained this. So explain their concern with the human race and what they're doing. with atomic energy. They were confused. They're not confused. Where is it at? Where are we at? I don't know if I can actually show you where I'm looking. Let me highlight this if you can see it. We went and he talked about, yeah, you go, I can highlight it. Good, you can see. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Fergulans, to the surface. The flying machines to the Fergulans to the surface world to investigate what your race had done. I'm gonna take you to World War II. Foo Fighters. This is what I'm saying. This is why it's crazy. This is a lot of stuff. Look it up. Foo Fighters. The Air Force pilots would come back like, listen, the Germans got some junk, man. They got flying ships that just fly, don't have propellers. The Foo Fighters. See, this is what I'm saying, that it sounds crazy to you, and it's a rabbit hole, but if you link together with all of our ancestors, brothers and sisters in the Air Force, whistleblowers, ancient archaeology, all of this, Admiral Byrd, it actually makes a lot of sense. And you start to piece together a version of history that your powerful kings and lords don't like to talk about. They like to keep the monkeys in conflict. Why do we talk about divide and conquer all the time? Because that's how we are conquered. They constantly keep us divided in a fantasy world where we're fighting over petroleum because they have this relationship, whatever down. Like, think about Antarctica. Why the hell are there 200 military bases in Antarctica? Right? Because penguins, they don't have guns. Why do we have tanks in our Antarctica? Think about that. When Byrd went down with Operation High Jump, after they killed the Germans, after they won World War II, supposedly, we took 15 ships. We took an entire flotilla of weaponry down to go after something in Antarctica. What did we figure out what was down there that they didn't tell us? And by we, I don't mean me, because they I'm not in those loops. And no, Bernie Sanders, he ain't in the loop neither. No, Barack Obama ain't in them loops. Trump is not in them loops. This is secrecy above them. But so it links up with the Foo Fighters. They're talking about the Fluggerlands, whatever that means, Fluggerads, right? And they call them Vimanas in a Sanskrit text that they won't translate and let everybody else know what's in there. Flying ships. Go over to Latin America. The great geoglyphs. They made these massive, massive shapes in the ground that you could only see from space. The hell would you do that for if you ain't in space? If you can't fly and nobody's flying, why would you do that? I would do that if I knew my ancients told me about ant people and reptilians and whatever, whoever lives in the planet, some big caverns, and every night I seen one fly up. My grandfather told me. I'd want to get their attention. Why? Because I'm trapped with these damn murderous kings. Dude, every now and then the king like to take a virgin up on the pyramid and cut her throat out or something, take her heart out and eat it, chew it, throw it down, blood drip. I don't want to be here. I might make a big geoglyph. Say, come get me. I'm saying that right now. I live in a country with Democrats and Republicans, and I'm like, please come get me. I'm probably looking the wrong way. I'm like, the aliens, can y'all take me home? To some of y'all, that's the prayer. That's the Lord's prayer. Yeah, that might make some sense. But I'm just like, these monkeys are crazy. These monkeys are divided up. They don't seem to realize that all of these Democrats and Republicans and America and Britain and Russia and China, they're all working together. They all playing you. They all, if you really look between the cracks, they're all in league with keeping you in the dark. So anyway. All right, so the whole point was, this is why they grabbed his airplane and they pulled it in to explain to him that y'all need to stop this mess. And he says, you see, we've never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must. For you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powerful of your world, and yet they do not heed. So they've already talked to your kings. They've already talked to your lords and the Democrats and the Republicans. And the Democrats, the court lords and kings, all told the people from inner earth, you need to go somewhere. We got oil to make. We got genocide to do. We got people to rape and lands to steal. This is why I talk about colonizers all the time. So basically, we don't get to have anything. Why we can't have anything nice? Because your leaders are all psychopaths. That's why I don't give you no credit for none of your leaders. None of them. They're all psychopathic. Now you have been chosen to be witness here that our world does exist. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race. Admiral Byrd, or Admiral, he says, I interrupted, but what does this have to do with me, sir? The master's eyes seem to penetrate deeply into my mind. And after studying me for a few moments, he replied, your race has now reached the point of no return. For there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish its power as they know it. Anybody know anybody like that? Anybody know anybody like that? Anybody know like climate change? Anybody know about geoengineering? Anybody know about ecosystem destruction, how I like to call it? That they're willing to get the power or die, kill us all trying, that they'll destroy the entire planet. American government, military industrial complex. I won't go down through all of it, but this is the whole point. I'm gonna read just a little bit more. In 1942 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. The Fluggerlands were fired upon. Yes, because that's what the United States Air Force will do, and the Germans. Yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. And also the whistleblowers said that too. If you go look at Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, and how we shoot down UFOs. Don't make me pull the video up. I'll pull the video up with the NASA footage where you got the ISS, you see the UFO fly in, and these, no, you see a flash of light. You see the UFO flying in, and then you see the UFO go the other direction real quick, and we have no ships that can do that. And then the laser beam shoots up, and the UFO goes the other way. That we're actually shooting down UFOs, and that's what we've been doing for the longest time. That we shoot down these ships. Well, they may not be from another planet. They could be from inner Earth. Why? Because every now and then they pop out to come look around, say, what y'all doing? Y'all need to stop. And we chase them back in. They shoot them down because they try to discover that technology. And so they just basically want to go ahead and just let us die because they're not listening. We're hostile. So we have whistleblower again. When the whistleblowers are confirming what all these ancients are saying, this is when you're supposed to start paying attention. When people say crazy stuff that no one's ever said before, you're like, I'm a skeptic. I mean, me personally, do I sound like a believer? I'm a skeptic. I listen to everybody. Like I said, I listen to Flat Earth. I'm like, okay. Like, okay. Like, some of what you say makes some sense, but I don't know. But when you start linking together thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people spanning 20 generations, trying to tell you that this is the real deal, and you stop and Fox News determines your, CNN and MSN, oh, they're telling the truth. They just, they ain't even been around. When Fox News started? About 20 years ago? When CNN started? These are people going over thousands of years, hundreds, explaining, and then you start to put the puzzle pieces together. That's why you got to go down the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole don't make no sense when you start going down. Half the time when I started looking at this stuff, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just walk away. I can't deal with it. It's too much. But after a while, when you really start to open your mind and look at all the religions and all the ancient texts and the mythology and all the things they said, with what the whistleblowers say now in their deathbed confessions, then it actually makes perfectly good sense that we live in this false reality because they have these weapons and they don't want to give up the weapons because they're more convinced that they can survive as earthers on surface earthers by killing and murdering the other surface earthers. And meanwhile, there's always an asteroid on the way. There's always another event that'll happen over hundreds of millions of years to create the next cavern layer, and there'll be a layer over top of us. Because I think that's how it works. Christine like, shut up, read some more. Shut up. Christine, you know this, don't you? You seen this, girl? You seen this. You woke, you waking. I seen your post. I know. Like, shut up. Keep reading. All right, let me read some more. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answers in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude to what is yet to come for your race. We here see it's more clearly each hour. Do you say, I am mistaken? Byrd replied, no, I answer, it happened once before. The Dark Ages came and they lasted for 5,000 years. I love Admiral Byrd because he actually has a brain. He's thinking. And this era of destruction, this Armageddon, does that actually sound familiar? You ever heard that you ever read something called the Bible? You ever read the book called Revelations? You ever read about Armageddon? Yes, my son, replied the master, the Dark Ages will come for your race and will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. But some of us always make it. Think about, we talk about how the human race has been knocked back to 10,000, less than 10,000 in population. They did that with the DNA studies, and they've determined that this has happened multiple times. We're all related to those very few people. These catastrophic events happen, and the surface earthers all die back, but some of us always make it, and then we're somehow repopulated. May not be aliens, may not be what we thought it was. Let me see. We see a great distance, a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its last and legendary treasures. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. What did Thoth say? Where did he put his spaceship? Right? They always dug down, like under the Egypt pyramids, under Giza. They said there's a whole complex of caverns. They said there's an entrance to the underworld there. They say there are entrances to the underworld everywhere. And you got the people who live there in Egypt, like, yeah, as a kid, we used to play down there. We used to go down there and play Titty Tinks and play Life and Sorry and everything. They ain't play that, they ain't play nothing. But they used to go down there in those caverns, right? And so they're saying that they have these crystal skulls, maybe. They have the Book of the Dead and Thoth. All of our ancient archaeologists, we're not evolved enough. We haven't figured out how not to be violent yet. We haven't figured out how our work, our job, our salary and income is related to the death and murder and destruction of people all over this planet. So we can buy lattes on the weekend, go to Disney World, enjoy life. That every bit of our culture is drenched in violence. This is why I'm a stand-backer and just an observer. I just kind of observe things because we can evolve out of this nonsense. We can evolve out of our support for rape and destruction and war and violence and violating other people. Or we can continue to let more religions get created. Every time we get knocked out and they come back and they restart us and help us. And what was his name? Who went up in the ship? Enoch. Was it Enoch? It was Enoch, right? I think it was Enoch who went up in the ship and said, yeah, they took me up in the ship and looked down, saw the earth, saw this, saw the planet. And then it makes sense because then if you think about all the cultures who knew things like Pluto was blue, they knew how many planets were in our solar system. They knew that there were planets around the, what is that famous planetary body? Sagittarian. No, it's not that. It's Pleiades, where they say that, you know, that's where we're from. We're from the Pleiades. They came to Europe, landed. Somebody look that up for me. What's that sister's name? I think that was Rebecca. You looked that up, and hopefully you looked it up. I posted a documentary. But the whole point is they landed. They said that's where we're from, and we were like, you know, you're crazy from then on, because there's no way you could come from there. Aliens don't exist. UFOs ain't real. And all of a sudden now, we have the Kepler satellite, and it's showing us that no, there are actually planets there. There are planets around that sun. Yes, Enlil and Enoch. Exactly. Thank you, Gerard. Could you turn the music down just a tad? Yes, I can, Sister Deborah. I absolutely can. I try to pay attention. I try to read. Is it like, yeah, okay, it's at a level I don't normally have it. There you go. Y'all tell me when I try to make this informative, and I want to make it a discussion. I'm in my zone too much. I can't really tell how loud that is. So let me know. We can keep reading a little bit. Let me see. Where we go? All right, so the storm that's coming, I cannot say. We see a great distance, a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures, and they will be here, my son, right? So the next generation should be smarter. They should be maybe evolved out of death, murder, rape, and getting a job and working for corporations doing the same thing. When that time arrives, We shall come forward again and help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and strife, and after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned to your race and begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message. And so that was the whole point of grabbing him and having this discussion with him. It was to tell him what was coming. Not to start another religion. Not to come back. He could have started Byrdism. He could have if he wanted to, because he interacted with something and started Byrdism, but he didn't. He didn't come back and give us 10 commandments. He just came back and said the same thing that was in the 10 commandments. He just came back and said the same thing quietly that all the cultures have said, that Muhammad said, that I'm not gonna go through. I do that every daggone day. But I'm gonna go down to the final entry. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. His final entry. Remember, the end of your life is the most important. If somebody's dying, they're on their deathbed, they're gonna tell you what's the most important thing to remember. The most important thing. You don't waste into the deathbed time. That's when you say what's most important. Get all misty-eyed, but I say it from my perspective. When my father died, he told me the most. He gave the last message. He knew when he was gonna go. And he gave me the last message. I'm not gonna say what that message is, that's okay. He actually worked on a lot of those dark projects. I don't think he saw enough, but some of his friends did. And I remember one Thanksgiving, he worked at the Pentagon. I remember one Thanksgiving, I forgot this guy's name. There were 2 or 3 of them. He would always bring somebody home from the Pentagon. Like he was the Christian dude running around. He'd bring these guys home and they'd eat turkey with us back when I was not a vegetarian. And I remember it was the Gulf War. I think I told this story. It was the Gulf War where we were just about to go into the first Gulf War. And a guy leaned over to me and he told me, he said, you realize, no, I knew everything, right? I knew everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. Ask anybody in my family, I knew everything. They probably think I know everything now. Now I don't know nothing. I question everything. But I was, oh, we're gonna go over there and kick Saddam's butt. We're gonna do this and do that. We're gonna knock his clock out. We got the M1 Abrams, because that's what we had at the time, M1 Abrams. We're gonna do this and that and whatever. And he pulled me aside after all the discussions all wrapped up. And he said, I just want to let you know something. He said, you ever watch Star Trek? I said, yeah, I watched Star Trek. And this is like a savant guy. He was in a wheelchair. He said, you ever watch Star Trek? I said, yeah, I watch Star Trek. I love Star Trek. He said, everything in Star Trek has already been done. He said, either in a lab, in micro, or in macro. We've already done all of it. He said, there are 2 realities. He said, there's a reality that we're allowed to know. And he said, then there's the reality that we're not allowed to know. Military-industrial complex is what he was talking about. He said, we don't have to go fight a war in Iraq. He said, we don't have to go over there. He said, we have the technology to do anything that we really want to do. He said, I haven't seen all of it. He said, I've worked on projects and I've seen enough of it. So this was a man who actually worked on black projects. And the reason he'd come to the house because he didn't have a family. I don't think he did. I don't think he did. He was one of these savant guys. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I was like, you old crazy kook. Get the hell out of here. The aliens. All right, man, come on. Like, I wanted to believe that stuff, but I couldn't believe that. And now that all these deathbed confessions from all of these other people who are dying all over the internet, they're telling their families at the end of their life that, oh, aliens are real, we're interacting with them. Oh, there's cultures in the inner earth, that the ancients weren't lying, the Egyptians were telling the truth, and they're just not sharing it. That's why everything goes to the military-industrial complex. Even Nikola Tesla said, he said that all energy comes out of the earth, that you don't have to pay for electricity. It doesn't have to be metered. All of this fits together, and that's why I talk about all of it. I want to read the last little bit here, because this falls right in line with, I didn't know this was in the military-industrial complex. And by the way, I'm gonna let you know, I didn't actually read this. I did not read this. I was listening to a lecture and they were talking about it. And I went online and I just grabbed it, because the bits in the beginning where they explain the warning message, which sound like every damn religion that everybody has, about how you take care of each other, don't kill each other, don't murder each other, don't drop atomic bombs, and act like you're decent and you're not ready for advanced technology, and we're gonna let you die. But when you die, some of you will make it and we'll bring you back. And that's what pretty much all the religions, in part, the picture that they paint. So I haven't read it, but this is the end of the log, and I think the end was the most important, because I think the end is always the most important. The end of every book and the end of every life. The older you get, the wiser that you are, the more you focus on what's important, the more you pass on to the next generation the thing that they must focus on the most. And so he wrote the diary knowing that he couldn't say this at a time, which is why his son put it in the public domain after he died. Let me see, March 11, no. All right, there you go, March 11, that's where I want. Here we go. So I've just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I've stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control that the national security provisions of the United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. I am reminded that I am a military man and must obey orders. Must obey orders. And can't say anything while he was alive. You know what amazed me? Actually, it's funny because it just came to mind. My aunt joined the broadcast. I was like, that's my aunt. Y'all see, that's my aunt. Hey, auntie, how you doing? Auntie, love you. I didn't know that her husband, my uncle, my father's twin, he worked on the SR-71. I didn't know that. He worked on secret technology out in Okinawa. I had no idea. My cousin finally told me. I still don't know what my father worked on. I know some of what he worked on. I don't know everything. And the only thing I can tell you is that all of these self-driving cars, that's not new. I didn't say, oh, Google just made a self-driving car. No, they didn't. I can go back in the 80s. And I can tell you when our military was making self-driving logistical vehicles, but we won't go into that down that road. But you don't find out these things till later because they can't say anything while they're alive. The power of deathbed confessions and not believing your kings and lords. And so this is why I did. And his final entry, this is where I wanted to end up. His final entry. These last few years elapsed since 1947 have not been kind. I now make my final entry in this singular diary. In closing, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It is completely against my values and moral right. Now I have seen the since the long night coming on, and this secret will not die with me. But as all shall tell the truth, it will triumph, and so it shall. This can only be, I can hardly see it half the time. This can be the only hope for mankind. I have seen the truth, and it has quickened my spirit and has set me free. I've done my duty toward the monstrous military-industrial complex. Now that the long night begins to approach, but there shall be no end, just as the long night in the Arctic ends. The brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of darkness shall fall into its light. For I have seen the land beyond the pole, that center of the great unknown. Admiral Richard E. Byrd. All right, my eyes hurt. I'm sorry, guys. That's why I can't read this thing, because I got all this lights in my eyes and I got to squint. I'm going to go blind, but this is what I'm doing. I think it's important. I do. I think it's important that we talk about the real world. We stop talking about the fantasy world. You know, and if it really discombobulates you, don't just listen to what Admiral Byrd said. Listen to Ronald Reagan when he explained that I often think that if we faced some sort of an alien threat, how all of our insignificant differences would be so insignificant. The degree he said that. Eisenhower explained the military-industrial complex. JFK explained the danger of secret societies and secrets, which is why at our end of our life, we say things that are truthful. We don't make a big lying book, a lying diary and hand it to our son. We say the things that are true because what's more important than life is human life. And that's where I'm at. So do I believe that the Earth is hollow, not only is it scientifically plausible, it is probably mandated to be how every planet exists and every planet works. And all of these long-lived species that live in safety inside of planetary bodies in the caverns that ice and snow and matter over billions of years of voyages, that's them restarting life for us surface lifers, and they live in the inner cores. Makes perfectly good sense to me. And if it's new for you, I would encourage you to look up. I keep going back to Stephen Greer and the 1,000 whistleblowers that he has lined up that are all explaining that we've been lied to. We've been lied to, and they lie to us every day, that there are two realities. The reality that the dumb monkeys, the people in the matrix, the people in the warm battery cells to kind of keep the engine going for the psychopaths that run all the wars and run all the nations to fight over things on the surface before we all get wiped out. But we got to evolve. We have to get past it. We got to think bigger than that. All right, I'm going to do comments. I'm going to get out of here. But that's how it makes sense to me. And it makes sense from a Europa, Ganymede, all the other planetary bodies' perspectives. They have oceans underneath, every last one of them. And if there's any creature that lives there, once bad times come and that planet starts to move into a dangerous area, solar winds, cometary things and super volcanoes, polar shifts, whatever, biological life can't live on the surface. They go underneath. After a generation of that, that becomes the new norm. We are a highly adaptable species. So why would anybody live under the earth? Because they were born under there. It's like colonization. Here's a good example. You know how people hate slavery, they talk about colonization, they hate it all day. They don't hate slavery, they don't hate colonization, they're not mad at you. They're mad, they're not mad at you because they're okay doing it to other countries. That's how I know. After colonization, after a generation, and the kids born as slaves, to them, that's not slavery, that's normal. This is what we're supposed to do. Go get your cotton, pick your cotton, go get your job. Go to college, get your education, get your job, get a good degree, make good money, and ignore the fact that it's all blood money, it's all based in slavery. Those ain't us. As long as it ain't us that's being colonized, we okay. And the next generation becomes the colonizers. We are a highly adaptable species. Whatever the norm is, that's the norm for us. So one generation after colonization, you just got a whole new generation of colonizers. They belong to you. You don't have to breed them out. You own their culture. It's the same thing. So one generation going under the planet, after a generation, oh no, normal life is under there. And I believe, it wasn't Admiral Byrd, it was someone else who said that there were something like, it came out of the tales of Agartha, that there were how many dozens of massive cities under the earth, and just the biggest one was Siddhartha. All right, I'll look at the comments, I'm gonna get out of here. Did the music creep up louder again? Nah, it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have, Deborah. My voice could have creeped down. Let me see. Let's go. So anyway, to me, it all makes perfectly good sense. Perfectly good sense. Project Blue Book, yes, and that's a great thing. There's a, Serena, there's a TV show on that. I try to keep up with it. I don't have a whole lot of TV time. It's springtime coming. I'm planting, girl. I ain't got no time. I can't go down that rabbit hole as much as I want to because it's springtime, and so springtime rolls. I can't even be on here as much as I want to. I gotta do what I gotta do. Okay. Don't make me pull the video up, KG8. The Earthlings shooting down alien ships. Right, exactly. Don't make me pull it up. I pull it up. Y'all want to pull it up? I pull it up. I'm not here to play. I am not here to There's no such thing as aliens, but there's life on every daggone planet. I am not here to play. I'll pull it up. I'll pull the video up. Before they delete all this and shut it down, that's why they're censoring everything now, because they don't want people talking about the real world. They want people talking about the fake world in the news, keeping everybody arguing and fighting over petrol oil and jobs. Total ignorance. Yes, it is, Don. I hope you mean that that's ignorance, not me. Although I am ignorant, I will say that. I am a 98% monkey with everybody else. I have no idea. All I got are theories and plausibility, because we never really know what's true. We just piece things together based on what we know. This is the same message of the classic movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Thank you, Sharon. Yes, exactly. And this is where Hollywood is not all evil. They're constantly trying to send us messages. The same message in all the religions, same message in all the scriptures, same message always handed down. Grow up. Stop being so damn childish. They're dividing you up. They're getting you to do things you're not supposed to. You're supporting systems and craziness that you're not supposed to be a part of. Grow the hell up. Become a sentient creature. That's why I post on sentience all the time. Like, y'all, we're not acting sentient. We're not acting sentient. Act sentient. Bernie 2020. I know I pick on Bernie a lot. I know. I think I pick on him because Bernie's a little different. Bernie pretends he's sentient. He talks like he's sentient, but he takes money for all the wars like everybody else. He's voted on all the wars like everybody else. Let me ask you a question. If somebody comes and knocks on your door, hey, we want to go next door and kill the neighbor. We're gonna give you some money. If we give you money, will you be quiet about that and just talk like we're, be on our side? And you say yes, then you're Bernie Sanders, because that's exactly how it works. He took the money, he voted for the wars. So don't tell me he's sentient. You might be, but he damn sure ain't. And don't tell me Trump is sentient neither. Don't even go there. Don't even go there with me. Powerful things control our world. And those people are just susceptible to the bribes for insentient activity. Don't hit me with that Obama crap, because we know about Obama and all the people he murdered too. 5 million people have been murdered since Bush in 9/11, and that's why they don't share any technology with us. Would you? Once again, if you live in the earth, would you come up and look at the mold on the surface and say, hey, we want to help y'all live another 1,000,000 years because you're destroying each other, the climate change ecosystem, you're killing, murdering, raping each other and eating your babies. We want to help you live longer. Hell no, you stay underground. You stay underground. Like I said, you go to the grocery store, you see an apple, it's got some mold on it. You say, oh, Lord. You put that apple down, pick up an apple, ain't got no mold on it. That's why aliens know. That's why no sentient creatures won't have anything to do with us. We have nothing to tell them. We have nothing to teach them. We have nothing to say. And we're not even involving in the direction that they are, out of violence and conflict. We still want to make money. We still want retirements. We still want to eat the rich and become the billionaires that are destroying it all. Anyway, good morning, brother Costin over on YouTube. I'm not ignoring y'all. Crystal Moore says, I freaking love your online blessings. Thank you, Crystal. They're not my online blessings. Not at all, sister. All I'm doing, I'm trying to do my little part in the things that I've seen and share them with other people so you can take the ideas and go do something better with them. I don't think none of these thoughts are mine. I just take what I know and I share it. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. But dialogue and discourse, this is how we make it as a civilization. Being kept in the dark as mushrooms being full-fed BS by the news and selective divided communities is how we die. We got to evolve and move forward. The second law of thermodynamics. Go on, Crystal, because we are just energy, girl, aren't we? Sweet dreams, all peace and blessings. Let me see. Restore the face, bowels, and blood of Mother Earth and renew the state of the world. All right, Miss T. NASA was in the 60s. Yes, it was, Miss T, and programmed / remote control. Miss T, I don't know where we're going on that one, girl. Let me see. They've been keeping people busy up to this. Dang it, I gotta move down. It's too many comments. It's high. Okay, wait. I'm gonna have to go down. I'm gonna miss a bunch of comments. I go back, I try to read them later. Otherwise, it scrolls up too fast. Love today's talk, Gerard. Thank you, Ivana. I think these are important things to talk about. And this is why I joke and laugh about politics, Ivana, all day. I don't take none of it serious. I take it seriously when they're murdering people and they're not helping people. But I don't take any of the politics or politicians serious. And we have to look, that's why we got to look at everything and call things that are false, and call foul, foul. Some come from Sirius, some come from the Pleiades, some come from another. Forgot which, so Earth lovers are coming from Pleiades too. Yes, Christine, I think all of that. I think that creatures come here from everywhere and they come from inside the earth and come up and they try to help us. Every now and then you get a Buddha in these civilizations. They're like, you know what? I don't agree with letting the monkeys on the surface die. I'm going to go give them a book, the Voynich manuscript, or they drop it and leave it. I'm gonna go show them how to do agriculture. I'm going to do the Enoch thing. I'm going to give them science. I'm going to give them mathematics. I'm going to try to teach them these things to try to help them. And when we find those people, we probably kill them and eat them. If they run into the right American, they'll be okay. You run into the wrong person, some Germans or something, some Hitler or something, the military, the Pentagon, they will shoot you down like a UFO. They will kill you and they will eat you and take your Voynich manuscript. Every now, I think they come from all over. But also, Christine, I think the movie K-Pax is spot on too. We are energy. And I think the astral projection is the thing. And I think some of them astral project here. And so how could somebody come up with the idea for a movie K-Pax where we astrally project into other creatures and take control of it? Because you're not really a creature. You're actually energy. You have almost no matter in you at all. You are all electrons and very small particles at electrons and neutrons. So you're not even there. So you're just energy. So of course it's plausible that just the way Iran's hacking into Wi-Fi and for the drones and taking over the drones. If they can take over drones and drones aren't matter, they're just electric like you are, can something take over you? Hell yeah, it can. It makes perfectly good sense. And you go back to the scripture in the Bible and explain that. What is possession? What is an exorcism? Same damn thing. So can someone do a possession from another planetary body? Of course they could. Could they take over? Yeah, they could. Was Jesus Christ the Son of God? Jesus Christ could have been just a person that the Son of God took over. Just like in the movie, I'm telling you, watch the movie K-Pax. Watch the movie K-Pax. You get lost in this world. You understand how a demon can get in some pigs and, well, the demon was in the man and Christ took the demon out, put it in pigs. All of this is history. I don't think any of this is fake. I think it's all just history. Now, some of it they say wrong. They get it wrong because we only understand up to the extent of the technology of our time. But I think it's all the real deal. And this is all real, all of it. May not be precisely 100% accurate, but it's all real. So watch K-Pax. And yes, YZP, they only start with Kevin Spacey. They only start Spacey with me. I've already got that one handled. I can't watch it because Kevin Spacey is a pedophile. Do you pay your taxes? Are you a Democrat or Republican? Okay, Kevin Spacey ain't done nowhere near the damage you have done. Paying your taxes, going to work, and owning a bank account. Okay? Taking loans from the Federal Reserve that's murdering the planet and raping children all over this planet. You can watch a Kevin Spacey movie and damn sure I listen to Michael Jackson. I'm about to go listen to the Jackson 5 right now. I'm not in your little fake fantasy world where it's bad when little poor people do it once and kind of sort of do it, but it's okay when Bernie Sanders, Trump, Barack Obama, and who's the new one, Ocasio, and when she does it. It's okay then. It's not really murder then. If Congress puts on white shirts, it's not really killing women all over this planet, destroying states where they have police where the little girls feel free and they can walk to school without somebody grabbing them by the book bag, raping them and throwing them into sex slavery. Yeah, you can watch Kevin Spacey. It's okay. It's okay. He's going to teach you something. Those Democrats and Republicans, they're only going to teach you a thing is murder, death, and destruction. All right. I got excited. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not. Woosah. I felt that energy. Somebody's praying for me. Somebody says something. I know. I don't, when y'all killing kids, I can't get along with that. I can't go along. So you can watch Kevin Spacey. It was a great message in that movie. He was just a participant in the movie. Then why haven't they already fixed things? Well, Brenda, I don't think they want to fix things. Hey, Donna's here, Donna! Yeah, Donna's one of my NASA friends. She is amazing. She is one of the ones who helped wake me up. I believe it's true. I have heard this before. Some of our technology in Star Trek has come to pass. It absolutely has, Donna. It absolutely has. So, why did Donna Hare and a lot of Stephen Greer and those folks really take me to the next level? It's because I processed what they were willing to give up to teach us, right? What they were willing to do with Julian Assange. They were willing to be locked in a prison for 10 years of an embassy. They were willing to give up their lives and appear crazy to the rest of us to tell us that the ancients didn't lie to us, that they actually told us the truth. Right? When you have 1,000 engineers, doctors, scientists, people who work for the military, they work for the CIA, the FBI, police officers, and they all come forward and they say that your government's lying to us, have a congressional hearing so we can explain to you that aliens are real, this technology is real, and we've been underground, that all of this is true, that there are structures on the moon, and that all the governments are lying to you. If they're willing to testify in front of Congress, which is a federal offense, which will land them all in prison, could land them all in prison for life. If you are willing to commit a felony to tell me aliens are real, y'all. Okay? If 1,000 people are willing to go to prison for the rest of their life and commit a felony, and if you ever seen a United States of America prison, these people are heroes. heroes. And you don't lie about that. You might do a felony to rob a bank. You might do a felony and risk going to prison for life for $1 million in a bank. You ain't gonna do it to get some popularity to talk about aliens. So this is all real. We do shoot down these craft. Well, I don't know where they're from, but they might be from the inner earth, because that actually makes perfect good sense. Okay. Philip Schneider spoke of underground entities. He knew he would be killed for speaking the truth. He was Philip Schneider. He sounds familiar. Is that the brother that went and there was actually a fight where they dug too deep and they ran into some creature that lived under there, and they were shooting at each other or whatever, and he lost his finger or something, like, and he died later? Was that him? But there's so many of them. There's so many of them. Money and religion divided us. Yes, they should have, Amy, but religion should have brought us together. That was the actual design. All the religions were started by creatures from wherever they're from. They could be from the inner earth. They could be from space, moon, Mars. I don't know. They could be from another dimension. Who knows what they are? You know, we look up and we see them come out of the clouds because they were flying a ship, and we're like, oh, God's in heaven. And really, it's just creatures saying, listen, y'all need to learn to love each other, care for each other. Thou shalt don't steal. Thou shalt don't steal the land. Thou shalt don't, and don't support people who do it. Religion was supposed to bring everybody together, but the kings and lords know if they modified and lied to you about it, they can get you to embrace and just totally ignore the 10 Commandments and get involved in politics. Production values. That's what it looks like to me. All right, Brenda, okay. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, y'all. That's what I see. That's exactly what I see. SOCAR storm. I'm not sure what it's, you mean solar storm, Nora? Right, like a solar storm. If we live on the surface, we die. You have a definitive lifespan as a species. If you stay on the surface, you will die. Space is not for us. Space will kill biological creatures. That's why we don't go to space much. We send robots and probes because it's efficient. They can live in that environment. They're designed for that environment. We were designed here, whether by microbiology or by the hand of what you call a god. It's the same thing. We're designed to live on a planet in an ecosystem that supports biological life or under it, but not in space. And so it makes perfectly good sense that we either go underground, that the majority of planetary bodies in our solar and in the whole universe, the majority of life is aquatic. The majority of life would be underground. The old species. Now on the surface, all kind of mold and fungus, bacteria, microbiology, cockroaches, fleas and mosquitoes get created. But they're not stable species because they haven't figured out that they're gonna die if they stay on the surface. So we're flying through space. We're in a UFO right now. It's called Earth. So aliens are all real, and I think it's how every planetary body works. That's why we can't get lost in this nonsense, this political bunk. We have to think forward, y'all. We gotta build a better world for these kids, not just because of every creature that ever came here told us that, and it ended up starting a religion. We don't need to make a religion out of that. All we need to do is say, you know what? That makes sense. Love makes the world go round. We need to stop letting money make it. If somebody's dying, save their life. If somebody's hungry, feed them. If someone needs to immigrate, either let them immigrate or give them a land to immigrate. If someone's having trouble in their government, don't send bombs and go destroy Venezuela. Go help them. Be sentient. Act like you're sentient ever. And then call your leaders on. Don't get behind them and support and cheer and act like a 98% unsentient monkey. Think forward. Don't you have kids? Do you have nieces? Do you have a nephew? Do you have anybody who isn't getting this and doesn't understand that if we don't evolve and become sentient creatures, we will all die again. We'll all get knocked back to that 10,000 or 0. But all the creatures that actually are sentient, that make it and figure all that stuff out, energy and everything that Nikola Tesla talked about, they're telling you, we ain't gonna help you. We are gonna let you die. We have to let you die because you can't be a chimp in space. You can't be a chimp under the earth. You can't bring your violence and infect sentient creatures with your foolishness. You can't. Bernie can't go. I know it make y'all mad when I say it, but I got it. Kamala can't go. Nope, Nina Turner. Nope, you can't go to Earth. Can't have Trump in space. Can't have Obama there. Not the people. Don't get mad when I say the people. Their philosophies, their actions. Don't hate people. I don't hate none of them. Don't hate people. You gotta love people. I love every last one of them. You gotta hate people's actions, that are evil. If they're doing evil, call out the action, call out the evil. You can love people and still do that. In fact, that's how you love people. You actually love Bernie Sanders? You really want him to be the president? You want him to be a good president? Then you need to tell him, stop murdering people, Bernie. Stop killing people. Stop raping people. Stop taking money for it. Stop acting like you're sentient and you're not. You love Trump? You want him to be a good president? You want him to put America first? You need to speak it. You ain't putting America first. You're putting oil companies first. You're doing the same thing Barack Obama did. You're putting Raytheon first. You're putting the Pentagon first. You're putting these killing murderous systems first. You're not putting us first. This is not what I signed up for. If you love them, you're gonna call them out the same way you do your kids. You raise a politician the same way you raise kids. When your kids go out and they beat up the neighbor's kid, and they come home and they rape the neighbor's girl and come home, and do you pat them on the back and keep clapping? Oh, good job, keep it up, keep it up. You do that, you're gonna make a psychopath. That's why all the leaders are psychopaths, because you keep cheering for this crap like you're sentient. And some of y'all know better. Most of y'all know better. I don't believe that we are mold. I don't think we're cockroaches and fleas. I think we get lost and we act like it because we're scared. Stop being scared. Stop being a coward. Be a Donna Hare. Be a whistleblower. Be a Julian Assange. Come forward with the truth and don't be afraid to speak it. You ever worry about people talking about aliens when you do that? I ain't worried about it. They need to grow the hell up. This ain't time for me to go back under the sheets and hide with them at the real world. It's time for them to grow the hell up and understand what the Greek gods are, what the Aboriginal mother is, what Jesus Christ is, what God was, what all of these things always have been, what the Dogons are trying to show you was here. All these cultures said this. We just don't like it. It's your job to grow people up. It's not your job to act childish and immature with them. It's your job to look at history, science, archaeology, wisdom, and speak on it. That's your job. I'm not supposed to tell anybody nothing. I ain't telling you. That ain't your job. I'm sorry, that ain't your job. Your job is to be you, boo. And if you're gaslit and lost and you believe King James, then that's what you're supposed to do, boo. Be you. I do believe, again, I believe in this system. I actually think this system makes work. Whether it's humans in the future or planetary species under the earth or aliens, and I believe in let us die. I do. I believe in let us die. I believe if we can keep femicide and everybody be happy, okay with that, with all the killing and murdering we're doing of women in Honduras, and we don't want to help them. I believe if we're okay with 8-year-olds being raped in the streets of Honduras and we want to build a wall and keep them out or keep destroying them like the neoliberals and neocons want to do, I don't think we should exist. I'm energy, y'all. I'm not here. I'm just spending a little time with y'all monkeys in this earth ship body thing. Another thing Admiral Byrd says, they live forever. They don't die. They actually choose when they die. When they live 1,000 years and they just thought, you know what, because the human body wasn't designed to die. We already know that, not only from the new science that's coming out, but from epigenetics and what we talked about, the caps on the ends of your chromosomes. The human DNA, it's always supposed to repair itself. Telomere size. So we know we're not designed to live. So we know the ancient stories of the Bible, people living 900 years. All of that is true because they do under the earth. We don't actually die. We're not supposed to. But outside of that, who's a current whistleblower that kind of explains ancient truth that was given to us? The brother in China. The brother in China lived 500 years, said the same thing that the people inside the earth said to Admiral Byrd. He was tired. He's tired. I'm tired of living. He lived to be 500 years, and he's like, I'm ready. I'm just tired. And they tried to blow him up there, not blow him up. They tried to blow up his story. It was in 2020, went over and did a story on him, said, you lying. You didn't live no 500 years. And they went over there because he was already dead. And they started interviewing people in the towns, and they were like, yeah, my granddaddy knew him. And he was a kid, and he played with him. They said, well, in 2020's final report was, well, we don't know if he was 500, but he could have been more like 195, something like that. You can look it up. You can go look it up. You know, and he died with why he said he wanted to die? He said, because I wanted to die. I said, I'm tired. I've lived and I've explored all of this, and I want to transcend and go to the next level. What's his name? I know somebody knows. Somebody will post his name. I can look it up. What's a lot of smart people here, y'all. Half of this stuff I get from y'all anyway. That's why I make friends with the white nationalists. That's why I make friends with the black nationalists. Brother, solidarity. You know, that's why I make friends with people in Gaza, and I make friends with Jews in Israel, real Jews. I make friends with everybody because this is how you get the information. Anyone post his name? All right, I'll try this. Oldest living man in China. I don't want to like do research while I'm on here, but somebody asked his name. Let's see, 500 years. What is his name? Is this him right here? Longevity, blah, 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 blah. Figure living 250 years. It might be Lee Ching. Let me show you. This might be him right here. And so, what's the add-on? Is it BS that he lived that long? No, because religions tell you people live that long. And also, there's a plant. It's called an astragalus plant. I don't know if somebody was asking a question. I can't see who looked it up, who said it. I don't think that's him. Hold on. That's too new. Nope, that's too new. He's only 150. He's something 250. That's not him. He was an herbalist. I'll do the search another way. So how do I know that that's true? Well, because there's a company that makes a pill called TA65. It's made from a plant called an astragalus plant. Astragalus membrananus, to be exact. This is a plant that makes a compound that they put in that TA65, and they say it is the compound that actually reactivates telomeres. It acts as a reactivation compound for telomere enzymes. Telomere enzymes are what repairs the telomeres on the ends of your chromosome so your cells can act how they're supposed to. And when your cells act how they're supposed to, they actually repair your heart. It repairs your lungs. It repairs all the organs in your body. And if all the organs in your bodies are being repaired, can you actually die? No. That's why I'm saying the human body was designed to live forever. They've done studies to find out even at 80 and 90 years old, you have enough telomerase enzyme in your body being made right now to repair your telomeres on the ends of your chromosomes. But your body doesn't do that. Why doesn't it do that? Because the telomerase enzyme goes inactive, but your body still produces it. So anything that reactivates it gets your body going back to operating how it's supposed to. And that comes from the root of the astragalus membrananus plant. This is a plant that this man that lived 500 years, this herbalist, was eating on a regular basis. And that science, that discovery I found separately. I'm a plant guy, that's why I do astragalus membrananus. And then I ran into him and I was like, oh, that's cool. But when I started reading into him and I realized he was eating the astragalus plant too, it's like, but see, they knew that. They knew that for 5,000 years in China. They knew for 5,000 years in China, if somebody got the blue bumps, they gave them the root of astragalus plant and the blue bumps went away. If somebody's about to die, got cold, cough, sneeze, all the crap that y'all see, anal, bleedy anus, all that stuff you see on the big pharma commercials, they give them the astragalus root and it stopped. They had no idea that it actually was reactivating telomerase enzymes that were repairing your DNA, solving the problems. They just knew that it made people better. So do I think it's bull that he lived to be 500 years old? No, I think what he said is true because it maps up with what the Egyptians said. It maps up with what other ancient cultures said. It maps up with what the Bible says. It maps up with what other scriptures have said. And it maps up with Admiral Byrd, what they told Admiral Byrd when he landed, that we live forever. We die when we choose to. And sharks do it. Turtles do it. Tortoises. There are creatures all over this planet that don't have a definitive lifespan. Trees do it. All right. But that's why you got to use science, ancient archaeology, astrophysics, your critical thought, ignore the news. You got to use all these sources. You got to use all these sources to explain it. I don't know if it's Lee Ching-Yuen. Somebody posted that. It might be. But I thought he's supposed to live 500 years. On Wikipedia, it says 250. So I'm not sure if that's all right. So no, I don't think it's BS. I think that when you grow, you use all the data points you have to put together I don't think to understand the real world, you look at the news and then go about your day. Rothschilds and Rockefeller, somebody published, and it's just the families are always behind it. You know, they want to be powerful, and it's not that they're evil. Everybody I know, for the most part, wants to be just like them. They're just not as successful at it. All right, let me see. I'm having fun and laughing. You don't like it? Too bad. Do it. As you want, right? Brenda, I laugh. I'm sorry, I do. I laugh all the time because I can't believe grown adults actually takes politics seriously. I can't believe it. And it's funny, but I'm not laughing at them. I'm not laughing at you and your politics. I'm laughing at the fact that on very little research, you can realize that we're always being lied to. I'm laughing at the fact that you don't seem to understand that the kings and lords have always done this to us. I'm laughing at the fact that there's so much evidence that you're living in a false reality. And I can't believe somebody can be over the age of 10 and not see that. I laugh at our ridiculousness as a species. Most vulnerable species on surface, there may be underground pets and all kind of critters. Exactly, and they did, Rebecca. They found 8 miles under. They found all kind of fossils way under the planet where they're not supposed to be. The Russians did that. Monkeys are sentient, absolutely, Lori. Monkeys are more sentient than they are. The bonobos are definitely more sentient than the chimps, and the chimps are probably a little more sentient than we are, still. And we got 98% of their DNA. It's just about love. It's all about love. Unfortunately, I think women have more of that love than we do just because they're supposed to. Their body makes a creature. They got to have more care, consideration, and concern and love. And we have more of a patriarchal society than matriarchal society. Chimps are more patriarchal, so they're violent. They kill their babies. They rape their women. They do everything that human beings do. They do everything that the Pentagon does, right? Bonobo, but the Pentagon's worse, obviously. The bonobos, they love each other. They're a matriarchal society. There's more love, right? The only scarce thing in their environment was sex and love, and the women owned that. And so all the males had to behave. So guess what? We wore suits. The bonobos wore suits. They put on deodorant. They didn't stink. They did what the women wanted them to. And the men still had power, but it wasn't the strength and the power in the male bonobo that was scarce. That was everywhere. They didn't need that. They didn't evolve around gorillas. I'm not going to go into that story. All right. You can look up the difference between bonobos and chimps on your own time. We've already done that one. We got to keep moving. All right. Let me go. Well done. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Well done. Thank you. I dislike hate as much. Hate is such a strong, hurtful word. It is. Hate is a horrible word. No, you shouldn't hate anybody. Really, I think you can hate a thing. You shouldn't hate anybody. I'm on fire. Thank you, Jasmine. I don't think I'm on fire, but I'm trying to figure out the real world. And I got a lot of smart friends that are helping me get there. Had a convo with my niece. She just doesn't get it. That's okay, Mary. That's your niece isn't supposed to get it. She's not supposed to get it. You are, because you do. I have conversations with my nieces too. They don't get it. But they're on it. They don't get it, but they're on it. Them some smart girls. It's just their parents. Their parents believe in the system. Their parents believe in colonizing. I love them to death. They're smart people too. I love everybody. They're good people. But when you get it, you just have to act on it. Because remember, we were them. We were them too when we believed the news and we believed the kings and the lords and their lies, as opposed to the Admiral Byrds and the scouts that actually go find the truth and try to bring it back to the human race. So there was a time that we believed that too. I think all you can do is love those people, keep feeding them information, and when they're ready, they'll actually do the research. They'll actually read and their mind will expand and they'll start to get it. Balance in motion. Absolutely. Absolutely, Amy. End of war is a platform issue of hashtag still Sanders. And I get that, Jimmy. You just know I'm not on that boat. I'm not on the boat because Sanders took too much money. Sanders, in order to get my attention, he has to go out and renounce all the money he took for war, murder, death, rape, and destruction. He'd have to renounce all the voting he did for war, all that double speak. I'm not Sanders at all. I am not Sanders at all. I'm not Bloods at all. I'm not Crips at all. I'm not MS-13 at all. I'm not Mafia at all. They need to grow the hell up or they need to go away. We all need to burn or they need to evolve. But you don't ever get my help saying you're going to rape less people. You'll never get my help saying you're going to start less wars. You'll never get my help saying anything like that. But I get it, brother Jimmy. You're in that zone. That's what your research is telling you. And so you got to do that. You have to be honest with your own sovereignty and where you are. Where I'm at, I'm no longer interested in pedophilia. I'm no longer interested in people who are doing the pedophilia. I gotta say that the right way because people, they take your quotes, they screw it up. I'm no longer interested in my psychopathic government that loves sex slavery. I'm no longer interested in my psychopathic government that loves war. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. It is a system thing. You can put anybody in. You can put Mary Poppins in office, and we will be murdering, killing, and raping people, because that's what these psychopathic murderers are up to. And it may not even be them. Maybe they're just gaslit. Maybe Bernie deep down is a good guy. I don't know. I don't know Bernie. He won't call me back. I can't text him. Trump won't give me a call. So I don't know who they are deep down, but they shouldn't be in control of the model of the world. I know that, because that model should not be there. It allows for death. Death is always wrong. Murder is always wrong. When I gave my life to Jesus Christ, I wasn't playing. I wasn't kidding. I wasn't kidding. I believed it. I believed that thou shalt not murder. Not some of the time, not part-time, not when somebody says it, not when King James says it's okay. Thou shalt not murder, period. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, let alone rape a town of women and covet all of them. That's why I'm not with you Democrats and Republicans. Something's wrong with these people. The brains ain't, not you, but the leadership. They're not sentient. I'm all about sentient at the end of my life. I got kids. I got to make sure I build a better world for them. And I'm not going to do that keeping the model of the world in division, death, rape, and destruction. Right? Karma would have us, would have U.S. soil desecrated. It will. Karma's a thing, Lori, and karma's coming back. Karma, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop because we are America. Karma's coming back. What we're doing to the world, yeah. We got amends. We got reparations to pay to the whole damn world. And people who live in the United States too, all of them. Every last one of them. Why? Because the Rothschild and Rockefeller system has destroyed everybody in some way. You got 7 billion people that need reparations. And how I think you do that, brothers like the Zeitgeist movement, Peter Joseph, the Ubuntu communities, getting rid of money, ending the Federal Reserve, taking away the power of the petrodollar, and the lies that have destroyed this planet. In the Old Testament, people came more than 300 years. Yes, they did, Christine. That was the hardest part of the Bible to read. They lived all that long. Say what? Even Deepak Chopra got old. Yes, everybody gets old, Patricia, until you discover what Strikers. I think Strikers is one of those plants that was probably in the original Garden of Eden, and it just migrated away, and we forgot about it. It was like one of those powerful plants like cannabis that your immune system doesn't work right, which means you'll buy more pharmaceutical drugs, and weak people fight each other and they fight themselves. They don't actually fight for a better future. So somebody posted his name. Let me see, what guy in China? Tell us more. Yeah, you know what? I forgot his name, Ivana. I forgot his name. Somebody might have. He lived to be 500 years old. 500 years old. BS, no thanks. Lots of like, well, Patricia, I get it. You don't believe it. I do. Unfortunately, I look at the physiology of it, and I look at the botany of it, and I look at the ancient cultures, and I think they're all more right than every doctor on this planet. I think our doctors are moving forward, and they're figuring out some of these things that these ancient cultures have always known. But I believe them more. I don't believe the modern world. I don't believe, why? Because the kings and lords pay those doctors well. They pay the pharmaceutical industries well, and we can see how they're failing everywhere. So yeah, I absolutely believe it. Hey, Nikki's new here. Everybody say hi, Nick. Hey, what's up, Nikki Moore? All right, let me see. Nikki, here we don't do division. All we do is love. We talk about truthful and honest things. We look at modern research, everything, because the real news, there's only news. There really ain't alt news. It's just news. And all the news is on television. It's a lie because it's owned by 6 corporations. So we're only here temporary, Nikki. They're going to shut us off soon enough. They're going to censor us and just delete all of this so they can get the gaslit world back. I don't think they were ready for the internet. So we don't do division here. And we don't do arguing here. We do discussion. We do intellectual adult discussion. Right? Everybody's welcome. All ideas are welcome. No isms here. Let me see. Dark is not hatred, nor is it evil. Separate entities. Absolutely. Let me get down. I'm way up in the comments. I gotta get out of here. Let me see. Sages in India can be around 1,000 years, living high in the Himalayas. Right, Christine? And I believe it. I believe it because the ancients have always said it. Because the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want to tell you. They ain't figured it out yet. Like I said, there's people who believe in those religions. They're worshiping kings and lords. That's a religion too, and I'm not in that religion. Or just practicing fasting. Exactly, Danny. And this is what I'm talking about. Because we think it's crazy. Did I tell y'all my theory on where fasting came from. Like, there's a scripture that says some things only come through prayer and fasting. Prayer, we know we're energy, astral projection, communicating, K-Pax with other creatures, blah, 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 all that stuff. But then fasting, the power of fasting, powerful. You know, you look at the research on PubMed into intermittent fasting. I think they call it IF, intermittent fasting. Let's start with IF, don't you? How your immune system, actually your white blood cells, they reharvest themselves. Your body actually harvests in the white blood cells and it starts to break them down using energy. And so you have a breakdown. It's almost like a chemotherapy type of thing where your immune system breaks itself down. Your body needs the energy, use that energy. And so when you go back to eating again, your body can now make white blood cells that are tuned to the current problems in your body, right? You only got so many, I don't know, 500 billion white blood cells doing what they do, cytotoxic T cells and everything. But they're fighting stuff and they're designed memory T cells for like a cold that you had when you were 5 years old, right? Something that you were fighting, some leukemia, something you had when you were 15. But when you do fasting, it resets your immune system targeted with the most white blood cells to the current problems you're having right now. Who knows what that might be, right? That might be a cancer. That could be this sarcoidosis, could be a lung disease. It could be autism and arthritis or whatever. But so fasting is a powerful thing. And I think it was handed down by these ancient people. Call them little g gods, call them people who live in the earth, call them aliens, humans in the future, whatever you want to call them. But they handed us all these things, Danny, that makes perfectly good sense if your mind is open enough to take in data from all the different sources. And that's why we don't do the isms here. I really don't care where information comes from. If it's true, I take it, I catalog it, and sometimes I'll learn something and I don't even think about it for 20 years. But then you learn something else like, oh, that actually makes sense. And that's how I make the link between the guy in China, Admiral Byrd, saying these people live forever, the ancient scriptures, and the Astragalus plan. And it actually makes good sense. And not only that, but then the Templars were actually after the Fountain of Youth too. I think the Fountain of Youth was probably just a fountain, and the root system from an Astragalus or another plant grew into the bottom of the fountain. And they called it the Fountain of Youth. But it's just, there's a good biologic or scientific answer behind it. We just haven't figured it out yet, or we forgot it. We're a species with amnesia, and they call it, oh, it's the fountain of youth. You drink from the fountain and it heals everything. It's a magical fountain. Meanwhile, it's not a magical fountain. There's some really good science behind it. It makes sense. We just didn't understand it at the time. Imagine the wisdom acquired if we lived 300 years. What a deathbed story that would be. Right, Rebecca, and there's a theory behind that. I was watching a lecture, there's a theory behind why something turned off in our bodies the ability to keep the telomerase enzymes active. So we'll only live up to 150 years. And there actually is a scripture about that as well. So we don't live up to 150 years. In 150 years, you can only start to discover some things. Like, think about when most people really start to get into wisdom. 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, some stay really stupid into their 80s. But when the older you get, the more you really start to realize, you start to collect all this data from your whole life and experience, like, oh, you start to focus on the important things. You stop chasing women and chasing guys. You stop buying the fast car and the big house and the watches and the dimes and all that crap that's just useless and always made on slave labor. And you focus on, I want to be good. I want to do good. If human beings just live to be 200 or 300 or 400 or 800 like they used to, we'd be sentient by now. We'd be sentient. But of course, so it actually was a theory in that somehow we got turned off. They turned off a compound, or they harvested that compound off of the planet that actually allowed for the telomerase enzyme to repair DNA. And it makes sense, because if people live long, they're less tribal, they're less ignorant, they're less consumers, they're less into the collegiate lifestyle and working for Goldman and Sachs, right? The more they actually do what's important. And you can't have them live that long. So that was a theory. It actually made good sense. I'm growing Astragalus this year. All right, good, Mary. Make sure it's Astragalus membrananus, okay? Membrananus, and it's the root system. There are other Astragalus plants. They call them milk vetch or milkweed. There's a North American one. You don't want that one. It will not have the effect that you want. They call it they call it mad cow or insane cow or something like that? You'll look it up. You know, I made sure I got the right one when I got it. Make sure you get the right one. It'll make you loopy. 256 years is all I'm getting. Yeah, see, Serena, I don't know if that's his name, but look up the oldest living people. That's the only thing I could get on that. It just didn't look like him. Like he had a picture, and that picture looks too recent. Like I think the latest picture of the guy I'm talking about, he was 500. It was old and crotchety. It was black and white photo, really, really old guy. Let me see. Gerard is a kind and caring man. I hope I am, Lori. I come from a kind and caring family. Now the Rothschilds don't have to drink the blood of the youth to live forever. Andrew, I don't think they drink the blood of the youth to live forever. I think they get inceptions of the blood because they're just evil. They do some evil stuff. I love them, but they like doing evil stuff. I think it scares us. But you know the funny thing, like people will see like what Brother Andrew just posted, and they're like, "Oh, that's just crazy. That's conspiracy." Well, you know what a vampire is? Do you ever read science ever? Do you ever any? Or you just read your science? You just like corporation science? You don't like real science? How they took the mouse, they took the old mouse that was dying and crotchety. It had gray hairs and it was sick. It couldn't reproduce, and they took the baby mouse and they hooked it up in the inception. And by the way, you're related to a mouse. Just to let you know that. I know you scream when they come in the room, but you share some of their DNA. And that's why they do all the testing on the mammals and the mice. And so they hooked up the infusion, and then the stem cells from the baby mouse went to the old mouse. The old mouse became a young mouse. It started growing brown hair. It became sterile again, and it started acting like an American guy in a bar and started chasing women again, wanted to reproduce. Okay? So that's vampirism. So do what you will with that. So when Brother Andrew, he posted that, I don't get looped like, I don't believe that. It's like, no, I'm actually exposed to a lot of different things, and what he said actually makes some sense. You know, now, are the Rothschilds doing, or Rockefellers? I don't know. Is Hillary Clinton, is that what she was doing with those Haiti kids? And I don't know. You know, is that train box they found in her name or something that you can't open this, that they were using this idea to shipping art around the world, they were shipping kids? I don't know. I know there are people who say that, but what I do know is if you take the blood from a young kid, the stem cells, you can repair them. And how the other way I know what Brother Andrew's saying is true is Panama. There's that doctor in Panama that's healing people by taking stem cells and injecting them in certain parts of your body, and it reactivates your stem cells, and your stem cells, oh, damn it. I might be saying it wrong, but just, well, stem cells, they don't say, oh, damn it. They probably, if they ever cuss yours, be like, oh, okay, okie dokie, we got to do something. And they start repairing parts of your body and healing things that modern medicine can't figure out, which is why it's not legal in the United States, and this man is operating out of Panama. Who took his father there to heal? If you want to research and look it up. People care, look things up. They don't deny them, they just look it up. He did the movie The Passion of the Christ. I forgot his name. He did that movie. His father was old and dying. His father was in the 90s or something, and he was like really having problems, couldn't get out of bed. Multiple, like the compiling issues that we have when we're old. And he took his father down there to get the injections. In fact, he was on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan did a great podcast on it. And he explained how it works. And why the FDA, why it's not legal in here. If you start taking the stems, if you start acting like vampires, like the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, like Andrew just said, and start injecting people, and you start fixing autism, you start fixing cancer, your body starts healing its muscles, you wouldn't have CVS's, Mel Gibson, thank you, who said that? Whoever said that, thank you. You wouldn't have CVS's and big pharmaceutical industry. You wouldn't have any of that. And they buy the politicians. The politicians get money from them. The politicians stay in office because of it. And so if you actually cure things, you allow cannabis to be taken, you allow all these natural medicines, and this guy who's injecting with people with stem cells, acting like a vampire, taking stem cells, and they don't take them from kids or babies, they actually grow them. There's a certain kind of stem cell, and they grow them. Because they replicate. If you start magically healing people with an injection, the politician loses their job. Bernie can't be Bernie. He'd be Ernie or something. He wouldn't be popular. You know, you wouldn't actually. People who are healthy, they don't need pharmaceutical industries. They don't need to buy politicians. People are healthy, they do good things. They live a long time, like Rebecca just said, and they focus on positive things. All right. Spirulina cures cancer. I think it could for some, Mary. May not for all, and that's how it works. All different things do different things. There's 7 billion different types of human beings on this planet, and this is how we get in trouble. We say that this cures that, and that's why Google is banning that book on curing autism, because it worked for some people, but it didn't work for everybody. So Google says, oh, that's fake news, and people will get hurt. Banned it. So I try to be careful with what I say, Mary. Like, I try to be careful. Say, no, it can work for some people, doesn't mean it worked for everybody. Big Pharma built their entire business model on percentages. It'll help 80% and it'll kill the 20%. So different things for different people. All right, anyway. I need to Google sentience. No, not sentience, sentience, Nikki. Sentience, meaning sentient, like sentient creatures, like being self-aware. Somebody give a good description of sentience. But being self-aware, being aware that another is a self. Not taking that other self's life because they live in Venezuela or Iraq or Israel or Palestine. Being aware of a self, not getting scared when your government tries to scare you into another $100 billion in a military budget because China's coming to kill you. Sentient, like having a value for life and valuing the life in others. Acting as a mature species. We're not a mature species. We're an ignorant species because we do ignorant things. All right, my butt is hurt. Y'all tired? My butt is hurting. I got to end this. I'm out, man. I'm losing weight because I'm working in the garden now. I've been doing construction. So I don't have the padding I used to have. Every winter I get padding, y'all. And the padding is wearing down. And I'm sitting in a wood chair. It's making my butt hurt. One day I know why. Damn it. One day I tell you why. Never to drive DC with this in your wallet. Don't put wallets in your back pocket. Oh man, I don't know. That's the only thing I disagree with God. He put a sciatica nerve in your butt. You don't never want to get butt sciatica. Oh man, that was painful. That was a bad memory. I didn't do no drugs though when I had it. I didn't call my doctor. They said, ask your doctor about butt sciatica. I asked my doctor the damn thing. My doctor didn't give me some drugs and give me cancer and leukemia. Hell no, my doctor, there ain't no doctors left. They're just chemists. I'm sorry. I don't go to that. I'm like my grandfather. I don't ask the doctor a damn thing. You go talk to other people, they'll say, ask your doctor. I ask Google. I ask YouTube. You know, that's what I ask other people that solved it, and I'll use my own critical thought to determine if I'm gonna do what you did. But yeah, no, I'll push through pain. I won't take any drugs. I don't do any drugs. I haven't taken any pharmaceutical drugs in over 10 years. Not gonna start now. All right. Bernie stopped voting for the military in 2013. He has not voted for them since then. So give credit where credit is due. He changed his mind. I like the sound of that, Linda, but did he say that? Did he say that? Did he apologize? Is he talking reparations for the country we destroyed? Last I checked, he was still agreeing with war with Iran, war with Syria, and he was okay with Venezuela. You know, so it's not an anti-Bernie thing. It's not an anti-Kamala too. All of them. They pick and choose the wars. I like Ilhan for a minute, but I realized it was a game. It was some sort of a game where they got her back in check. So I don't do any politicians. If you want to murder, we can't. You can't have my support. Right, that's my thing. I won't say, Linda, that I'm sentient, but I'm damn sure on that path. I'm trying as hard as I can, and every day I try to be a better person today than I was yesterday. And I used to vote for people like that, and I used to support things like that. I ain't never doing that again. Once I find out you're planning on murdering and killing people, and you're okay with other people planning on murdering and killing people, I gotta go. And the neoliberals and the neocons are all the same. They all agree. They fight over walls and they fight over health care, but they agree on murder care. They agree on destroying the countries that cause people to immigrate where they got to build the walls. So I'm not okay with that. I got to be in solidarity with children all over this planet, and I can't be in solidarity with children all over this planet being in solidarity with Bernie Sanders, Trump, Obama. And it's not because they're individually bad people, but they're Democrats and Republicans. And right now, they're the greatest killers of human life on this planet. They aim to beat malaria. It may not even be because the parties are bad. It's just the system and the model of our government's broken. And the only way we fix it is we got to stop supporting it. We got to stop being scared into supporting it. And I'm not supporting it. I can't, sis. Milkweed will stop opening cut bleed. Yes, Augustine. Yes, you got that knowledge. Exactly. Milk. That's Milkweed, the other type of astragalus that you don't want to eat, Mary. I don't think it's medicinal. They say it makes you crazy. They say the cows ate it, made them crazy. All right, let me see. I missed the first hour. Now I have to go back and watch the whole thing. Thank you, Brother John. Well, you're gonna get a chance to in a minute because my butt hurts. I gotta go. We all been lied to. Yes, we have, Brother Keith. We have, and we can admit it. Like, that's the cool thing about it, right, Keith? Like, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be right. Your whole 50 years of life could be a lie, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Be wrong. Be wrong I'm wrong all the time. There's nothing absolutely wrong with being wrong. Being wrong is how we move forward. I'm wrong all the time. And just admit, we've always been lied to. So we can move forward and stop being lied to. It's that simple. Absolutely. 100%. Let me see. No, I just don't want 500 years of this BS. Go on, Patricia. I know we agree. Oh, sister, we agree. I thought we disagreed on the 500 years. Yeah, I don't want 500. Patricia, I don't want 5 years of this BS. I'm tired. I am tired of all the lying and hypocrisy and back and forth. And I think my laughter is like an escape, Patricia. I think I laugh to escape, like, oh Lord, what did I have to do today? And I sit here and go through all the nonsense and all the news, talking about all the political lying and BS and ignoring the real world, how our universe actually works, how our planets always work, how our ancients always told us it worked. But yeah, I don't want 500 years of that, but I'll do 500 years of positivity. I'll do 500 years of the Venus Project. I'll do 500 years of the Zeitgeist movement. I'll do 500 years of not starving kids into becoming white nationalists. I'll do 500 years of not starving kids into joining the Bloods and the Crips. I'll do 500 years of that on my back. I'll do 5,000 years of that. Getting rid of artificial scarcity and loving each other and doing the right. I'll do 500 years of that easy. But yeah, 500 years of this is what I'm saying. Go ahead and let this thing reset. Let's grow up or just go ahead and let it reset. Fasting is an essential treatment for diabetes. It is, Rebecca, and they've known that. It's like with bloodletting. Bloodletting's fake news. It's fake news. It's fake news. Take our drugs. And I believe that for the longest time. Until I read a report and they explained how bloodletting has the same effects of intermittent fasting, where it gets rid of those white blood cells. So your body makes new ones. And it's like, it worked. The longest running, I like to say, the longest running clinical trial study on the human body has been done for the last 5,000 years. It didn't just start in the last 50 when we invented pharmaceutical companies. People for the longest time said, you know what, when you let somebody bleed out, 80% of them heal. We don't know how, we don't know why, just like the astragalus root. You do that and magically it works. Oh my God, it works, so I'm gonna do it. You know, but then someone created a pill and then bloodletting was a bad idea. And it's just, I don't think ancients hand down to their kids lies. I think government hands to their people's lies. It makes perfectly good sense if you have time to read the science, and I have no life. I have no life in the winter time, so I can read the science. Spring through fall, I play garden man. I also sun gaze and barefoot grounding. Yes, conditions by the soil, good thing. Yes, you gotta ground. All right, I'm gonna try to move down through the comments really fast so I can get out of here. My butt hurts. Wisdom of the age, yes, Lori, are old. Get a centurion. I'm telling you, get yourself some centurions and make good friends of them. They got a lot of information. They can be gaslit on 90% of everything, but they got that 10% experience that because we can't live to be that old unless we figure it out. I don't know how to live beyond 120. I could eat the astragalus root. That might work, might not work. But what you can do is you can live forever in passing down what's true. Don't let old people die around you without getting their information. Spend time with them. Talk to them. 90% of what they say you could be gaslit from the news, but that 10% is powerful. Get yourself some centurions and then pass it down like Admiral Byrd. Where's Admiral Byrd at? Get yourself the wisdom and then pass it down. That's how the next generation gets better, so we can live forever in that way too. Yes, trying to wake my children earlier, and I'm starting to learn, what's the name of that plant? It's the Astragalus membrananus. I'll pull it up so y'all can see that. Y'all should be growing it. I think it's hardy up to zone 6, zone 7. I'm just right on the edge of what it will grow. Astragalus membrananus. This one, the exact one right here. I'll show it to you. And get it from a seed seller you trust. And when you grow it, check it. This is it right here. Oh, you can't see what I typed. It's not in the pictures. There you go. Astragalus membranous. That's the one you want to grow. All right. Yes. Oh, somebody already posted. Good. I'm way up in the comments. I think they're using the young buds to replace their own with starter cells. Yeah, Keith, it makes good sense. It sounds crazy when people say it, but then when you look at the science, like, oh my God. I don't think they're lying to me. I think the government's lying. Still live. Wow, I left errands and came back. Yeah, Brenda, I'm done. I gotta go. I'm about to get out of here. Mel Gibson, yep, got that. Which is your best source for strikes? I got it online, Sharon. I got it online, but you can't even trust that when you get it online. I forgot the name of the seed count. This is years ago. And then it grows well from cuttings. Look at the leaf of the plant when you grow it and compare the flower of it and make sure it's the same one. There are a lot of videos, people, you can make soups out of it, you can make teas, I think you can eat the leaves and other things you can do with it too. I've never done that. But look at the leaf of the plant, make sure it's the same plant. Look at the flower, make sure it's the same plant. And then you know you probably have a seed grower that you can trust. Okay. Water world. Yes, who's that, Amy? Yeah, it's always a water world. Water world, ice world, matter world, and the water underneath melts. And you make layer upon layer, repeat for billions of years, and you end up with a hollow earth. Makes perfectly good sense to me. Perfectly good sense. Very plausible. Like I said, I don't know. I know it's true. I just do things on a plausibility scale. From a plausible perspective, it makes sense that the ancient people weren't lying, and neither was Admiral Byrd. Politicians' jobs are to kill people. It is, Lori, which is why we got to stop being with them. We got to let them go. Not just because the people on the earth say so, because we're not supposed to kill people. And I think that's how we got the 10 Commandments. They just said, hey, don't kill people. Now, to Admiral Byrd, they finally say it's your government that's killing people. That's why we're not helping you. No health care assured system needed. Right, no health care assurance system needed. Yeah, and I don't believe in health care, Christine. I believe just don't let people die. That's it. To me, that's a sentient behavior. Don't let people die. Let's not talk about who pays for it. Don't let an old person die. We need old people. We need to help each other. It's a sentient activity. That's why people say stuff like that. Say, I'm a conservative. I'm like, yeah, okay, you are. You conservative on reading your scripture too? You conservative on that 10 Commandments? Better watch out for them pastors that get you. Stop vaccines and cure new cases of autism. Yeah, I'm not a vaccine person at all, Brenda. Let me move down. I'm way up. Get a cushion, Lori. Lori, I can't because I got work to do. Let me move down. Let me see, I'm a massage therapist. Oh, are you, Amy? Okay, and that's another thing is massage is a therapy. Handed down for thousands of years. Don't be fooled. Medicine's not the only form of therapy. Let me see. Bye, go to the garden. Christine like, all right, bye, we done with you. Go on to the garden. Hey, Christine, I love Christine. She's so raw. She's so raw. She'll tell you in a minute. Listen, all right, you done. You can go. Read, stop reading. Say something. Okay. Get a cushion. All right, I'm going down to the bottom, and I'm going to get up. My last ending music. I'm going to roll out of here. So Admiral Byrd, y'all, look him up. He real deal. This is the real world. We need to know the real world, not the fake world. The sons must learn from the sins of the father. Yes, Terry, we got to move forward, and that father's got to be honest about their sins. The father has to be honest about the mistakes they made. We have to be honest about the fact that we've supported things we never should have been supporting. We got to be honest, and the kids can learn from the fathers. If the fathers and the mothers are still lying to them about politics and it's okay to go murder certain people and steal their land, then the kids don't get any better. We got to be honest, and we don't pass those sins down. Absolutely, Brother Terry. Strictly medicinals in Williams, Oregon. Yes, medicinals. You got to always use medicinals. Go with the holistic. That's real medicine. All of that crap coming out of pharmaceutical companies, it only serves one purpose: prevent you from dying. That's the only time you ask your doctor if you're about to die. If you're about to die, ask your doctor. Don't die. That's when you don't go to the hippie. Go to your doctor. Stay alive. But if you're talking about health and nutrition and something that can be solved by natural medicine and holistic and therapies, that's what you want to do. You don't want side effects, because there's always other side effects that they don't know anything about. Keith, you remember me? From Parent Trap? Keith, where I know you from? You know me, Keith, we used to march together, brother. Okay, all right, Keith Owen. I have to look at your page. I see a little picture here. Yeah, some people remember me. Like I said, I used to do this activist stuff a long time ago. We used to march, yell, and scream down in Washington. I gave a few speeches, but I had to walk away. I disappeared for a little while, Keith. I think I'm still on the board of a few children's rights organizations, but I had to disappear. I got into foster care and I started looking at what happening to these kids, man. Title 4E and all the billions of dollars allocated for child trafficking. And that really is what started to pull me away from politics, when I really started to see the psychopathic activity both of these parties were up to, the laws they were writing, especially Clinton and that the Welfare Reform Act that was in '94. And then I ran into an article, I think the baby was in Texas, it was a toddler. And the boyfriend put the toddler in the microwave oven and turned it on for like 30 seconds or something. And after that, I was done. Keith, I fell into some sort of just a depression. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't look at children's rights from any perspective. I needed a break. I needed to just, to fathom that we have human beings on this planet that would take a baby and put a baby in a microwave oven. It just, I can hardly even talk about it, man. It was too much. It's too much. Those are the two moments I remember of children's rights, was that microwave moment, which I needed to take a break from, because it was just too much at that time. And if you went to DC, I forgot what the sister's name. She was a grandmother. She was always around, and she had her granddaughters, and she was trying to save them from foster care. And one of them got on the stage and said, "Help me. You know, you people are the adults. You're supposed to help me. My sisters are in foster care and they're being abused. You need to help me." And she was crying on stage, brother. I broke down. Between those two moments, I was done. At that point, that's why I don't play politics, man. I don't play politics at all. But anyway, yeah, I hadn't done children's rights in a while. Right now, I'm like world children's rights. Everything for me is, we need to grow up. If you're hurting children, you don't have my support at all, ever. Even my battery's dying. It's not just my butt. My battery's dying too. Yes, Fathers for Justice. Yes, Keith. Yeah, we were Fathers for Justice in Pennsylvania. Then we became Families for Justice. After we started running into the women, they were stealing kids from the women too, because we merged and we realized that the whole Title 4D, and Carol Rhodes explained that they take kids and after divorce from the parent that is the least earning, and because women were doing well and they were doing really well, so judges were taking the kids from the moms and giving them to the father too, because it maximized on Title 4D money that they got from the federal government. Yeah, then we became Families for Justice because we had a lot of women that were losing their children also. All right, get down. All right, we're done, YouTube. Everybody good? That's my theory, y'all. That's my theory. It makes perfectly good sense to me. Earth is hollow, not in that sense, it's cavernous, because that's how planetary bodies work. And NASA kind of says that if you pay attention to them. They won't say it out directly, but there are oceans under every ice-capped planet. And after generations of more soil and rock and asteroids falling, it creates these cavernous spaces from all that ice. It melts in time and it creates a hollow structure. And that's why the model of gravity doesn't work, and nobody knows what gravity is. It's not actually related to mass. And they don't really understand that. And they've never understood it. Nikola Tesla said that. It doesn't really add up. And it's because the planetary bodies are actually very, very hollow. Because over billions of years, it just actually makes good sense that the planets would be hollow. And that's why they're finding oceans everywhere in all these planets. And so most life in the galaxy, most life in the universe actually probably has to be aquatic. And the longest living species are the ones who live underground. And the idea that the surface species, the surface mold, the human beings, we lucked up and we're the smartest thing on the planet, is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Anyway, this is Gerard. Love y'all to death. I am out of here. Y'all have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.